All right. So before we get started, let's use some oils. If you are using oils, I believe all of you do have oils, so might as well use something. So I'm going to use the Adaptive blend. Adaptive is a really beautiful calming blend meant for really kind of a lot of people use it as anti-anxiety. So whatever oil you're using, just go ahead and put it into your hands, just to, of course, to enhance the experience. And just take a couple of nice, big, deep inhales and exhales. Just allowing the scent of whatever it is you're using to help relax you even more. And of course, even if you're not using oils, using your breath. Take a moment today before we even start our practice just to give some gratitude for being here, for our bodies, for the opportunity to continue to come together even though we are in different spaces. When you're ready, setting your arms down wherever you feel is comfortable, on your lap, on your knees, maybe staying at heart center. Closing your eyes, feeling grounded and connected to the mat. On today's practice, we will complete our journey, or I should say, continue our journey of self-care, because it's never complete. And today's self-care tip is to spend quality time with loved ones. So I want you to take a moment right now to focus on the people in your life who you cherish and want to spend more time with, sending them a moment of gratitude. Setting your intention for the practice today. Perhaps dedicating your practice to someone who you feel needs that extra energy right now. And if it is you and you're feeling like you need a little extra love, since we're all connected, see if you can even unconsciously or subconsciously just draw some positive energy from us to you. Breath, let's take our hands on the knees, palms facing down. Roll the shoulders back and down, and just with a nice big inhale, open the chest, arch the back, shine to the sky. And as you exhale, rounding into the spine, just coming into a couple of seated cat-cows. So inhale, shine the chest to the sky. Exhale, round into the spine. Inhale, shine the chest. Exhale, round. Inhale, up. Shine the chest. Exhale, down. Inhale, up last time. And exhale, round. Inhaling back to neutral. Let's come onto our hands and knees, finding our way into child's resting pose. So knees nice and wide, toes together. Coming for a moment just down into child's resting pose, either on the elbows or extending the arms straight out. Just a nice little extension in the arms, just kind of playing with that, maybe wiggling a little bit from side to side. And then when you're ready from here, let's keep that right arm extended. Take the left arm underneath the right, finding a nice rotation, setting the head down on the mat, left shoulder onto the mat.
allowing that breath to stay nice and strong. Now in today's practice, we're going to focus on the lungs and the large intestine. Since we're here today for a while in our poses, I want you to really focus on your breath. Allowing those nice big inhales and exhales. And with each breath, sending gratitude to your lungs for the job that they do, for bringing the life, the air, the oxygen into your body. Personally love a yin yoga practice when we get to focus on different areas of our body, because we often don't. It's such a great practice of self-care to send that energy to yourself. And I recorded a podcast today, and it was part of a tiny little piece of it was talking about aligning with the power of intention to heal our bodies. And how powerful that energy of source energy is to heal ourselves mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. This is kind of just a little opportunity for us to do that, sending that gratitude, that healing energy to our body. On the next breath, I want you to slowly draw the right arm underneath the shoulder, or right hand underneath the shoulder, I should say, coming up onto the hands and knees. From here, extend both arms just for a breath, dropping the chest to the ground, coming back to the center. And then when you're ready, just taking that right arm underneath the left, allowing yourself to come into that rotation on the other side. I personally love doing child's pose like this because it's just adds that little extra element, and of course that little rotation is so good for the spine and the digestion. In today's practice, since we're also focusing on the lungs, you can take your attention to the heart space as well. The lungs and the heart working very much together to help our bodies survive, giving us energy. Both organs basically working without us even having to think about them. next breath, draw that left arm underneath the shoulder. Slowly begin to come to the center, and for a moment, just extend both arms out again. Just stretching, dropping that chest towards the ground. Then when you're ready, move forward onto those elbows, dropping the hips down right into Sphinx pose. Feet nice and wide, elbows underneath the shoulders. Shining the chest right out to the sky. Giving you an opportunity here to just really open into the lungs. Now, this is a great posture too to also open into the throat chakra, which is what the lungs and the large intestine are actually connected to, I should say, this meridian. So I want you to think about lifting your head, top of the head to the sky. So almost tilting your chin back just a tiny bit, opening into that throat chakra, that Visuddha chakra. Now, this is the source of truth. Speaking your truth, showing up as yourself. I want you to notice when you think about that, about speaking your truth, how does that area of your body feel? Now, option here to kind of connect to that as well. You can do lion's breath. So remember, lion's breath, we can do it together if you wish, but we'll take a nice big breath in, fill the lungs. If you know lion's breath, you're gonna pop that tongue out and release that air nice and strong. Taking another deep breath in. Taking as many of those lion's breath as you feel you need to really just let it all out. This meridian line is connected to the emotions of sorrow and courage. So see if you can tap into both those emotions and just notice where you are on that scale between sorrow and courage. On the next breath, slowly begin to push the elbows out to the side and release yourself from the pose. Just stacking the hands just for a couple of breaths, resting the forehead on the hands. Maybe even wiggling the hips from side to side, releasing any tension. Now when you're ready, you're going to take your right hand, I'll show you on my left hand side, right out from the shoulder. You're going to push your shoulder and your head into the ground. You can take your foot behind the knee if you wish. So I'm just showing you on the other side. So opening up into the shoulder. So extending that arm. You can have your left hand underneath the left shoulder just for support, and your left knee up towards your chest. And if you wish to have a little bit of a deeper rotation, feel free to take your left hand behind your back, or even your left foot behind the right knee, keeping that left knee shining to the sky. So the goal here is to get that nice opening in the chest and shoulder on the right hand side. So in this position, focusing both on, of course, breathing into the lungs, as well as the large intestine, sending the breath to those organs. Now, of course, while we're focusing on our organs,
we're still stretching into the physical body. So we're lengthening into those muscles that get sore and tight throughout our week. Giving the body any opportunity to release any stuck energy, any toxins that have been built up. On the next breath, I want you to really move out of this slowly, especially if the knee is up to the sky. Just really use your hands if you need to help your body come back to center. As you allow those hips to come back to the center, just extend the legs. And then from here, we'll just go right over to the other side. So extending that left arm out, using the right arm to help you roll off to the side. Maybe taking that right knee up to the sky. Maybe taking the right hand behind the back. Finding the position that works best for your body. Once you find that position and you kind of get the wiggles out and you feel a little lengthening, you feel good, find some stillness. So remember, just because we're working in the shoulder joint, just be really careful. You don't want to have too much pressure or tension, definitely no pain. A little bit of extension in the muscles is what we're looking for. A little opening in the back and the hips.
In this position, or any position that we're in, as we find that stillness, you might find yourself just finding that steady flow of the present moment. Or you may find your mind wandering, focusing in on the breath if you feel the mind begin to wander, staying focused on how your body feels. So now staying in that present moment, just moving your body slowly and with intention, just allowing your body to move back onto your belly, resting the head on stacked hands for a moment. Again, wiggling those hips maybe from side to side, just giving the back a little relief. And now from here, let's take the hands underneath the shoulders, push on up to hands and knees. We'll take those hips right above the knees. And then from here, extend the hands and drop down to your elbows, so coming into puppy pose. Now from here, let's take the palms of the hands together, drop the forehead to the ground if you can, and then bend into the elbows, taking the hands behind the head. This is essentially a back bend here, so we really want to be pushing our chest towards the floor, keeping those hips tilted up high to the sky. I want you to notice, take note for a moment how your shoulders are feeling, how your back, your whole body is feeling. Do you find that you're tensing up? Or are you able to settle in and relax into the pose? Now, we set intentions at the beginning of the practice. We can set intentions really any time of the practice. If you find yourself tensing up, you can state an affirmation of, I intend to be relaxed, or even simply, I am relaxed. The words I am are the two most powerful words, and they literally just state how you're feeling, what you intend. So really important to always making sure those are as positive as possible. The words I am are essentially an order to the universe to bring more of whatever it is that you want to you. And of course, when we say I am healthy, we will have more health. If we say I'm sick, we'll have more sickness. If we say I'm full of energy, you'll have more of that. But if we say I'm tired, we'll have more of that. So just be aware of how we're speaking, how we're thinking, even from moment to moment on our mats during our practice. On the next breath, just release, kind of pushing your shoulders forward, drawing those hands back to the mat. And just from here, take your knees together, your feet together, and slowly roll into closed knee child's pose, if that feels okay. And just take those hands towards the feet. Just for a breath or two. And on the next breath, really nice and slow, just so you don't get dizzy. Let's have a seat on our mat. Extending that left leg out nice and wide. Coming into lateral dragonfly. So from here, taking the left hand all the way down towards the left foot, Resting that elbow on the thigh, maybe just above the knee, bending into that arm, resting the head. Now from here, feel free if you want a deeper stretch to extend, and you can also take your left hand over to the right side if you want a bit of a deeper stretch. This is just going to make it a little bit more of a yin style where we relax the body a little bit more rather than holding the body. So resting your body as much as you can while you're in that nice extension. Closing back into the eyes, finding that connection with yourself, finding that breath. Remember, the nose and throat are closely related to the lungs. They help with respiration, drawing the air in, drawing the air out. So focus on keeping that energy or that chi or the air flowing and moving in and out of the body. A lot of physical ailments can happen, such as coughing, wheezing, rashes, even hives, sometimes degeneration of the spine, rheumatic pain. A lot of things can happen when this lung meridian is blocked or closed down. After a while, as you train your body and your mind to stay in these long holds, the body eventually starts to crave it. It starts to recognize the healing powers that these long holds actually have. Just remember, when we're here, we're not focusing only on our physical body, but also our mental, emotional, and spiritual body as well, whatever that means to you. What's great about this practice is it can be so individualized as we come together. On the next breath, I want you to really come up slow, moving really slower than you think you want to or need to. Just really supporting the spine. And now from here, let's switch sides. So hands can come behind you if you want to, just to bring the knees together, and then let yourself switch to the other side. So bending into the left, straightening into the right. Slowly making your way into that nice lateral position, just being aware of how that left side feels right now, because it would have just shortened on the other side. Bend into the elbow of the right arm if you want, resting your head in the hands or on the fingers. Again, arm can go up, maybe just for a moment, even just to stretch, getting deep into that side, and then perhaps allowing that arm to come down, resting on the left knee. Skin is sometimes considered the third lung because it's really connected to the energy in our body as well. And when there's kind of issues related to digestion or expelling of toxins, we'll start to see some of those issues in the skin, like acne, rashes, hives. Some of this stuff also connects to the spleen chi. The body is so connected in so many ways that we can never look at it as just pieces. Usually when one part of the body is affected, it means another part of the body is affected. So as you breathe, I want you just to think about just the whole body as one.
That's why when it comes to healing ourselves, it's so important to not only just focus on one thing, but to look at yourself as a whole being, as a whole person, a mind, a body, and soul. On the next breath, slowly begin to rise up. From here, let's extend the legs now straight out. Let's take those arms and just sweep them to the side, taking them all the way up to the sky. Taking a nice big inhale as we do. Shoulders down and away from the ears. And from here, let's just come into a nice forward fold, a surrender forward, allowing the hands to just completely drop where they fall. Breath, slowly begin to rise up. And from here, we're just going to do a nice rotation with those legs straight. So I want you to take your right arm behind you and use that arm to slowly start to rotate to the right. Now your left hand's going to come on your knee or just below the knee. I want you to sit up nice and tall in your seat, shoulder down and away from your ear as much as you can. And you can start to look to the right of the body. Taking in just a few breaths here, noticing how the spine feels. Maybe drawing your belly button in for some support in the spine. Taking one more big inhale, sitting up a little taller, and then as you exhale, slowly start to rotate back to the center. Moving slow to the other side, taking your left arm behind you, sitting up nice and tall as you do, as you move. Right arm is on that left knee. And on the next breath, slowly begin to come back to the center. Now from here, let's come on to the back for just a moment. We're going to draw those knees in towards the armpits, grabbing onto the toes into Happy Baby for just a couple of breaths. On the next breath, release. Let's coming into figure 4. So taking the right ankle over top of the left knee, drawing both legs towards the chest. Dropping the shoulders to the ground, head remains on the ground, nice and relaxed, opening up into the hips. On the next breath, slowly begin to drop that left foot down to the ground. Now you can either choose to cross the legs. We're going to come into rotation. You can cross that right knee just a little tighter onto that left leg. Arms go out to the side, and then shift your hips to the right, dropping your legs to the left. Now, if you want to as well, that cross is a little bit deeper, so you can also uncross the legs and allow them both to fall to the left-hand side. Head can go off to the right. Now this position actually helps to increase mobility of the spine. Sometimes a nice movement to get into a little bit more. Sometimes we would take the right arm, draw it off to the left, and then take it back up and over. So if you ever wanted to get any movement in there, but just the simple act of sitting in this rotation, allowing the body to just rest and relax, starts to lengthen into the muscles in the spine, giving you a little bit more mobility for any rotational movements. Rotation is one of the 5 basic movement patterns of the body that you definitely want to have that good rotation for. We need it for a lot of things, shoulder checking in the car, just basic movement. So such a great position. You might also notice too, depending on your stomach might, or the intestines might start to gurgle a little bit. Sometimes this position gets things moving in there as well, because it's very good for the intestines. So breathing into that large intestine right now, helping with any movement. And just, of course, allowing the body and the mind to just relax. slowly allowing the head and the knees, maybe even one at a time, come back to the center. Shifting your hips back to the center, then hugging the knees in towards the chest, gently rocking side to side. From here, just allow the knees to come wide. We'll come back into happy baby for a moment, just feeling a little relief on the spine. Taking in those nice breaths. And from here, just allowing that right foot to go to the ground. Allowing that ankle on the left-hand side to cross over the right. You can either keep the legs where they're at, or if you want something deeper into that left hip, you're going to grab onto the legs underneath the thigh or the knee, and come on up to figure four. A few nice breaths here. Always paying attention to how the hips feel. Hips often carry a lot of energy, and because the lung and large intestine meridian is related to the emotion of sorrow, just notice what happens when we lengthen and stretch into the hips. Sometimes that emotion can arise, sadness, anger, often connected and stored in the hips. Of course, at any time, if any of these emotions do arise, they may not, but if they do, let them flow. It is your body's way of saying, I need to let this go. Let it flow out of you. Just breathe, relax, release. On the next breath, release the legs. Either hug those knees in together, crossing them, or just shifting those hips off to the left, letting both knees fall to the side, coming off to the right-hand side, keeping that left shoulder on the ground, but being aware of how the low back feels. Just allowing everything to release and relax. At this moment, start to give your body a nice scan. Notice if there's any tension anywhere in the body, and if there is, breathe into it, encouraging the body with the mind to just relax. Maybe as you relax here, noticing if there's any thoughts or feelings or pictures that are arising. This is sometimes a message that's coming from your body, your mind, or your soul. Something that you might need to know in this moment. On the next breath, slowly bringing the head back to the center, gently one at a time, or both knees coming back to the center. Hugging the knees in towards the chest for just a moment. Maybe even drawing the knees towards the armpits, grabbing onto the toes again, coming into happy baby. See if you can kind of just realign the spine by just rocking from side to side. Now from here, taking any last few big breaths, or maybe a position that you feel like you really want to take for a moment before coming into Shavasana. When you're ready, allowing the legs to fall to the mat, extending the legs, allowing those feet to be fairly wide, about the width of your mat, tucking the shoulder blades underneath the back. Palms are nice and wide and up to the sky. Taking in a couple of nice big deep breaths in, followed by a sigh. Those nice audible exhales are really great for the brain, our sympathetic nervous system. Really encourages the body to fully relax and release. So I want you just to feel as if your body is sinking into the mat, just sinking right in. As you lie here, just let the body release any attachments, releasing any anxiety, any tension. Basically surrounding yourself with the energy of love, joy, happiness, those high energy vibrational emotions. Let them surround you and permeate you. Taking a few more moments of rest and I'll bring you back shortly. you want to spend a little more time in Shavasana, feel free to do so, taking all the time you need. Often a Shavasana pose is about 10 minutes. But if you feel like you are ready to flow into the rest of the evening, start to make your next couple of breaths a little bit deeper. Starting to wiggle your fingers and toes, waking up the physical body. Slowly starting to reach overhead into a nice big morning stretch, extending the whole body from the fingertips to the toe. Maybe a little yawn. And when you're ready, rolling off to the right-hand side or left if that's better for you. Resting your head on your arm. Feeling that nice rounding of the spine. And on the next breath, slowly begin to rise up. Coming back into a nice, comfortable seated position. If you're in cross-legged one way, maybe choose to put the other foot the other way. If you are finishing with an oil this evening, I'm going to use lemongrass. Something citrusy is always really nice here to finish up. Or something more relaxing if you're going to crawl into bed. So I'm using lemongrass, a very cleansing oil, and helps to heighten awareness. So whatever you're using, take a couple of drops and just inhale, allowing the scent to just fully inhale. Feeling the shoulders relax, taking note of how you feel now as opposed to when we started the practice. When you're ready, hands to heart center, closing the eyes for just a moment, focusing on the breath. And as we close our session today, I encourage you to stay connected to your breath this entire week and pay special attention to your lungs and large intestine. Also remember this week to focus on self-care tip number 11, which is to spend quality time with loved ones. Reach out to somebody, maybe a simple phone call or a coffee together. Finding that connection. Now before we close the practice, I'm going to thank you all for joining me for this series. I want you to take a moment just to think of one or two things that you're grateful for, so that you can carry that with you off the mat as you go into your week. Remember to take care of yourself and of course others this week. Wishing you all much love, light, and many blessings. Namaste.